Hello and welcome to our tutorial on creating dynamic form fields with Next.js. We begin by importing the useState hook from React, which will help us manage the state of our form fields dynamically. Here we have a functional component named dynamic form. Inside it, we're using the useState hook to initialize our form state with a single input field represented by an object with key and value as empty strings. Next, we have the handle input change function, triggered when the user types in an input field. It makes a shallow copy of the current inputs array, updates the appropriate key or value based on which input field is changed, and then uses setInputs to update the state. The handle add click function adds a new input field to our form. It takes the current state, spreads it into a new array, and appends another object with empty key and value strings. Meanwhile, handle remove click removes an input field. It creates a copy of the inputs array, uses splice to remove the element at a specific index, and then updates the state to reflect this removal. The handle submit function prevents the default form submission and logs the current form state to the console. In a real-world scenario, you would replace the console log with actual submission logic, like sending the data to a server. Now let's move on to the rendering. Our dynamic form will use the handle submit function to manage the form submission. We use the map function over our input state to render each input field as part of the form. Notice that we're using the index as a key here, but in a real-world app, you'd want to use unique identifiers. Each input field for the key is rendered with a name attribute set to key. The value is tied to the corresponding state, and the onChange event updates the state with the new value. Similarly, we have an input field for the value, with similar attributes and event handling logic. Next to each pair of inputs, we have a remove button that appears as long as there is more than one field in the form. Clicking this button will remove the corresponding field. And, to facilitate the addition of new fields, we have an add button that appears after the last input field. Clicking this button will add a new set of key value input fields to the form. At the bottom of our form, we provide a submit button that triggers the submission handler when clicked. And that concludes our dynamic form rendering. Finally, we export the dynamic form so that it can be used elsewhere in our Next.js application. And that's it. You now have a fully functional component for dynamic form fields in Next.js. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials.